Hi, it's Theresa with Crafty with Theresa. Thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today we're going to go ahead and make the split card I mentioned in my last video, which was the end of March video. So if you haven't seen it, we'll link it for you here. My goal is to make this card as easy as possible for you, so let's see how we do. First, we'll take a look at some of the supplies we used. You'll need some cardstock in red and white, and then you'll need 2 6x6 pieces of pattern paper here. Today I'm going to show you the cutting instructions for the first card. However, if you've been watching me, you know I like to show you different versions of cards, plus I'll also throw in some sneak peeks of other cards so you'll see some other examples also. Now I have a 12 by 12 paper here. Your first step will be to cut it down at 5.5, leaving you with 5.5 by 12. Then on the 12-inch side, we'll cut it at 8.5. Now let's score it. On the 8.5-inch side, we'll score it at 4.25. Now we're ready for our split card cuts. First, let's go ahead and crease the fold here at 4.25. I actually do this so that it's easier for me to see it to actually make the next two cuts for the split portion of this card. You'll line up the card at the 1.25 inch mark and cut it, but you only go up to that 4.25 inch crease. Now, because my trimmer shows you all the way up to 1.5 on the other side, I'll just move it over and cut it again at 1.25 up to that 4.25 inch crease. I hope this makes sense. Now that's it. There you have it. Your split card is ready to burnish. Let's do that. Let's crease it or burnish it at the 4.25 inch mark. You really want to burnish that middle section of that split card so that it lays down really flat. When we start putting this card together, you'll really want that flat so that it opens easily and people can see how this is going to open. Again, I hope this makes sense. Sometimes it's better if you just watch me. Next, let's make our pattern paper cuts. I tried this several different ways, but the way I found that works best is cutting it this way. My first cut is going to be at the 4-inch mark. But before I make that cut, here's a quick tip. I've shown in other videos how to do this, but I like to do something called a stack and cut when I'm making multiple cards. I'll stack these two pieces of pattern paper together and cut them at the same time. Your next cut will be at 3 inches, so you'll have 2 pattern paper cuts here that'll be 3 by 4. Oh, and by the way, for this card, you'll only need 1 3 by 4 inch pattern paper and 4 1 by 4 inch pieces. Let's go ahead and cut those here also. We'll slide this over to the 1-inch mark and cut the remaining pieces to 1 by 4. Now I thought I'd go ahead and leave this next part in here. Here's a look at some of the other cuts on this 6x6 paper so you can see that sneak peek of the next one sheet wonder that I will make out of these 2 6x6 pattern papers and cardstocks. I hope to have that ready for you in May. Now next, you'll need a few more pieces of cardstock. Now I just used the 3x4 squares that were in my stash, but for measurements for you, you'll need 3 pieces of the 3x4 inch cardstock. The first piece, you'll stamp your image onto it. Now I did stamp 3 here, that's what I do. I stamp extras and then I just pick the one I like. So now let's take that image. Oh, and I did show you here, I will end up putting that on a die cut for this particular card, and it's a postage stamp. Now there's nothing special here about this stamping. Now let's take that image, put it in the MISTI, and use some black memento ink. I love this cute little ice cream cone. I can't wait to get to coloring it. Now I don't show this here, but you will need 2 more pieces of that 3x4 white cardstock. The second piece, the 3x4, we don't actually stamp on it. We'll show you in a little bit how that fits. And then the third one will be used inside the card base to write your note on. Again, we'll go over that and show that to you in just a minute. Now let's color. We've got this image ready to go, and I can't wait to grab my tri-blend markers and do some basic coloring here. But today I'm actually going to show it to you. I'm really only using the red and the brown, blending them so that they look like there are more colors. I'll start with the cone portion, and I will be showing you 2 different ways today to color. First, I'll take the light color and basically trace around the cone and then kind of push that color into the middle. I will actually highlight a little bit in those detailed areas, and then I'll take the medium color and go around those detailed areas and around the outside of the cone, go back to the light color and blend it all in. I'll do that on both sides. Now you will see there's just a little bit of white showing in the middle. It's taken me a while to be able to be okay with that white, but I do like how it shows the shading. So I now leave it in. Now on the top portion of the ice cream cone, because I want a light color, I'm actually starting with my medium color here, and I'm only doing the outside edges and of course those details. I will take my light color and I'll blend it in lightly into the middle. I'll go back and forth between the 2 colors, but only blending in the middle, pushing that medium color in. I'll kind of speed through this a little bit, but I really just wanted to take a minute to show you there are different ways to do the coloring, and you just need to work with the technique that works for you. Next, I'm going to grab my multi-purpose mat and a shimmer brush. Now, I don't remember if I mentioned, but there will be a few bloopers shown in here today. I want some sparkle and shine here, so I thought this will be great, but it's been a long time since I've used my shimmer brushes, so I completely forgot to take the yellow cap out of there. So I'm leaving this in to show you. You do need to take that off, and then of course put it back on once you're finished. But once I got that right, it turned out a little sparkly, and I hope you can see it here in the video. Now let's work on the inside of the card. Here are those 2 other pieces that I mentioned. Both of them were 3x4. I did trim the piece that's going to be on the inside that's going to have my sentiment on it. I did trim that piece just 1/4 inch off the bottom. I felt like it fit better that way. Now just a quick tip here. CloseToMyHeart did an amazing thing by creating a grid mat on the front, and then on the back there's a cushion. It's awesome. So we'll simply just flip this over, and now you have a great surface to stamp your focal point. I use my Misty a lot, but I did want to show my beginners that it's just as easy to grab a stamp block and do this. I have the Misty, so I use it. Now here comes my next blooper, and I didn't even think about it until later on. Let's go ahead and put the card together, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. I always start with my repositional tape, and especially in cases like this where I may be adjusting a little bit. I'll start with the 3x4 piece on the front, and basically what I'm doing here is I'm lining this up on my grid mat so that I have even spacing. I don't measure very much, so I just kind of eyeball this, and it turned out great. I got it pretty close to the center. Now I'll take my glue and I'll actually secure those edges now that I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to grab my stripe piece and kind of lay that out so that I know where to put my next 2 1x4 pieces. So these other pieces, I'll add those on next. Once I've got them attached, I'll add the striped piece in the middle, and now we're ready to seal those with the glue. Now to save time, I did go ahead and die cut my postage stamp. I'm going to take that ice cream cone. First, I'll put the repositional tape on it to kind of get it lined up. Then, as I'm thinking through this, I'm thinking, oh, I really want that ice cream cone to stand out. So, and I get the fun foam that has adhesive on one side, and I get it at the kids section, at the craft stores, or even department stores sell them. I'll take that piece that has the adhesive on it, and I'll put that on first. Then I'll grab my glue and attach it to my card front. Now this fun foam is about 1 centimeter, so it really does not cost any more to mail it, and it adds just that little bit of dimension. We're almost there. Let's go ahead and put the inside of the card together. First, we'll take that 3x4 inch piece that already has the sentiment stamped on it, and we're going to go ahead and cut 1/4 inch off the bottom, so it's actually 3x3 3/4. And we'll put that on the inside of the card first. Here you'll see I stamped on both sides of this piece. That way I can pick the one I like. You won't even see the sentiment on the other side. I put this piece in first. That way I can evenly space the other 2 sides. I'll grab the 2 by 1x4 red striped pieces and add those onto the sides. Here's where I'm getting ready to show you the completed piece. I was so proud and ready to show off my great work, and then I realized, oh no, I messed up the inside sentiment piece. So I didn't give up. I just thought, well, this will be a challenge. Well, challenge accepted. I'm going to grab another 3x4 square, cut that 1/4 inch off, and change it to the horizontal sentiment and put that over the top on the inside of the card. Voila, problem solved. I actually felt like it was very balanced by adding this additional weight to the inside of the card. If that makes sense, well, at least that's what I'm telling myself. Now, this video was getting pretty long, so I did try to shorten a few of the steps, but I think you get the picture. This is a very, very different card, but I think it just has that extra flair that the person receiving it will like. I did leave in the pictures of some of the other cards that I've been able to get finished. You'll see I have another ice cream cone card. And that particular one is the first one that I created, and I've kind of made changes based on that one. So that one's still kind of a work in progress. I'm still working through that one. Another card that I created, you'll see that I've done a teacher card. I love this card. It actually is just my stash paper, but the ABC is part of my alphabet dies. I love it. And then of course it's the same type of design. I did add some additional 1x4 pieces there, and then of course the stamping on the inside to let the teachers know how much we appreciate them. So I hope you liked today's video. If you do, please hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button. Like and comment. All of this helps YouTube to notice me. So thank you again for joining me. Stay tuned, more to come. Until next time, have a great day.